Orban has proposed the EU deploy a fact-finding mission to the Ukrainian section of the Druzhba pipeline days after vetoing a €90 billion loan to Kyiv.
The United States is once again breaking the EU-US trade deal, German MEP Bernd Lange told Euronews.
France has sent an aircraft carrier to Sweden to boost defense in Northern Europe.
The head of the World Economic Forum stepped down after the organization opened an internal probe into his past contacts with Jeffrey Epstein.
Hungary's Prime Minister Viktor Orban has proposed a fact-finding mission be deployed to the Ukrainian section of the Druzhba pipeline to assess the damage caused last month by a Russian attack, prompting a suspension in crude deliveries to Hungary and Slovakia. Orban said in a letter sent to European Council President Antonio Costa and seen by Euronews that it's in his country's interest to restore oil transfers as soon as possible. The Hungarian leader proposed that experts delegated by Hungary and Slovakia accompany the mission to, quote, verify the status of the pipeline, asserting that Budapest will accept the findings of such a mission. The Druzhba pipeline sits at the forefront of sky-high tensions between Hungary and Ukraine, with Budapest accusing Kyiv of politicizing the issue at their detriment. It also led to Hungary vetoing a €90 billion EU assistance loan to Ukraine, agreed on by leaders in December. Orban admitted that he's aware of the political difficulties his last-minute veto has created and says his initiative is aimed at reaching a timely resolution to the issue. The Hungarian premier highlighted the absurdity of the situation, saying he conceded by agreeing to the loan he personally disapproved of, only for Ukraine to, quote, create an emergency situation in Hungary. The tone of the letter is, however, a significant step back from Orban, who has more recently endorsed incendiary language towards the EU and Kyiv. Just last week, he accused Brussels of colluding with the opposition ahead of the upcoming elections to remove him and install a pro-Ukraine government in Hungary.
With trade being one of the biggest...
The United States is once again breaking the EU-US trade deal, German MEP Bernd Lange told Euronews. After the US Supreme Court ruled that Trump's tariffs were illegal, the US president doubled down and said he would raise tariffs to 15%.
For us, it's crystal clear that the US really is breaking the deal. So we have the normal tariffs and 10% and perhaps 15% above. And this means a lot of products are now tariffed more than 15%, so another break of the deal.
The Thornberry Agreement was clinched by the US administration and the European Commission in July at Trump's Scottish Golf Resort. The European Parliament suspended the EU-US Trade Pact on Monday, following the US Supreme Court ruling.
If in the next week nothing will happen, then we have to reflect countermeasures, counter-tariffs, for example.
In the face of the United States' unpredictability, the EU is looking for partnerships with other countries to have more stability in the global trade order, he says.
France has sent an aircraft carrier to Sweden to boost defense in Northern Europe. Named Charles de Gaulle, the nuclear-powered warship is France's biggest, and its deployment is aimed at strengthening bilateral ties as well as regional cooperation on defense.
En fait, effectivement, c'est un signal très important. Effectivement, ça montre que la France est capable déjà de déployer son groupe aéronaval, qui est un instrument majeur de projection de puissance. C'est un instrument qui démontre notre interopérabilité avec nos alliés.
The boat will play a key role in NATO exercises this spring in the North Sea and Arctic, as alliance members seek to beef up their presence along Europe's northern and eastern maritime flanks. The exercises come at a time of increased Russian maritime activity in the area and shifting U.S. interests in the Arctic.
The head of the World Economic Forum stepped down on Thursday after the organization opened an internal probe into his past contacts with convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. Borge Brende, the World Economic Forum's president and chief executive, announced he was stepping down after more than 8 years in the role, saying the decision followed careful consideration. The forum launched its investigation earlier this month after the US Department of Justice released a large tranche of files linked to Epstein, which drew fresh scrutiny across global business and political circles. The forum, however, did not detail the nature of Brende's contact with Epstein. Brende, Norway's former foreign minister, has led the forum since 2017, overseeing the organization through the pandemic period and a series of internal governance reforms. Being named in Epstein-related files does not in itself imply wrongdoing.
In the middle of Berlin stands a van that was hit by a Russian drone in Ukraine. The vehicle was a so-called social taxi operated by two aid workers, Oleg Konekt-Salnik and Oleg Degusarov in the Kherson region. Anolense wants to show the weapons being used in this war and has transported the vehicle back to display at the Berlin Story Bunker Museum.
Das ist eine 300-Euro-Drohne, die sieht aus wie von AliExpress. Und sagen die, ja, die ist von AliExpress. Und dass man ihnen sagen kann, ja, so klein kann man Menschen töten. Und dann sieht man zum Beispiel die 7,5 Meter Cruise Missile oder die 3,5 Meter Supercam und dann sagen die, oh, so groß geht's auch. Und genau das, einfach das mal sehen und anfassen, das ist für uns auch der schwierige Spagat.
Oleg Salnik was only 28 years old when he was killed in the attack. He worked as a volunteer in the Kherson region in southern Ukraine, which parts of remain under Russian control today. With this initiative, he aimed to assist those who wanted to remain in their hometowns.
Er wollte bleiben, als die Russen kamen. Er ist auch in der besetzten Stadt geblieben. Er ist danach geblieben und hat gesagt, das ist meine Stadt. Und egal wie es hier aussieht, ich bleibe, ich helfe. Und er hätte gehen können. Also er hat die Papiere gehabt, das Land zu verlassen, weil er in russische Gefangenschaft geraten ist. Er hätte in Kiew leben können. Er hätte irgendwas anderes machen können. Und er hat immer gesagt, nein, ich bleibe in meiner Stadt, weil wenn alle gehen, ist keiner mehr da.
Lense knew the two aid workers personally and used to drive the van himself. For him, it was clear. The vehicle had to go back to Berlin to illustrate to the outside world what a war crime looks like.
Yellow, like sunflowers turning towards the light. Blue, like a sky that refused to darken. 4 years after Russia's full-scale invasion, Ukrainian scholars fill the Ilhom Theater in Tashkent. The exhibition Yellow and Blue, organized by EU delegation to Uzbekistan and the Ukrainian embassy, presents a different perspective on war, not through destruction, but through culture.
This exhibition is about Ukraine, Ukrainian history, Ukrainian culture. And its message is that Ukrainian culture, the Ukrainian people are here to stay. So this shows the richness of Ukraine, the richness of Ukrainian culture, and the fact that Ukraine is something that we all have a great stake in.
The stability of the world today directly depends on the outcome of the war for Ukraine's independence. We are defending not only our home, we are defending the democratic world.
The cultural program extended beyond posters. Visitors were invited to a screening of Anton Ptushkin's documentary, Us, Our Pets and the War, which follows soldiers and volunteers, Ukrainians and foreigners alike, who risk their lives to rescue animals affected by the conflict.
Классно то, что при помощи таких подобных выставок узнают про проблему в Украине, узнают про то, что там идет война, то, что там идет полномасштабное вторжение.
Instead of battle scenes, the works focus on kitchens, balconies and playgrounds, everyday space where life continues under strain. Through striking visual images, the posters tell a story of Ukraine's past and its future. Identity placed alongside hope, renewal, and the vision of peace. Each illustration reflects both pain and strength, loss and unity. Saranoz Rahmankulova, Euronews, Tashkent.
So this is an important subject. It's super rare. It's done better than he ever did it before. It's large, it's got extraordinary colors. You see it only with one light, but if you change the light, this one, almost like a psychedelic painting, changes colors. There's blues, the leaves go blue, purple, green. It's very sharply painted, it's very carefully painted. It's a super Magritte. People understand Magritte, and this all around the world, because he's not related to any particular morality, he's not attached to any religion, he's not attached to any particular nation in a way. Yes, he's totally Belgian, but he's accessible to all. There's nothing stopping people from liking, being challenged, laughing, thinking at an image of Magritte.
Konnichiwa. ブッダロイドです。何かお悩みはありますか? "ありがとうございます。またいつでもお待ちしております。